What's good, everybody? It's your boy George Michael Perez, aka G Mike. You already know what it is, baby. We got week 2 of the Fantasy Football League, Los Bandoleros 2022 season coming at you right now. But before that, follow me on all socials: Twitter at George Mike Perez, TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram at GMikeMedia_. And if you haven't heard about the sports podcast that I got going on, it's called The G Perspective, and it's on all podcast platforms. So hopefully you guys go check it out, subscribe, leave some comments and reviews, even if it's negative or positive, whatever you want. Just leave something for me. You know what I'm saying? But now let's jump into it. Week 2 results and week 3 matchups. Let's get it. All right. For the first matchup, we got myself, King G Henry, going up against I Have a Chub, which is my dog, my dude, my brother, Kevin. And as you can see, I only won by 8 points. We both had a bad week this week. It was tough. It went down to the very end, literally Monday Night Football, where Derrick Henry played against the Buffalo Bills, and then Dalvin Cook played against the Philadelphia Eagles. And as you can see, Derrick Henry only had 8.50 points and Dalvin Cook 7.60 points. So those two really made an outcome right there. The matchup went down to the wire with those two, as like I said. But Kyler Murray did his thing, came back on that win against Las Vegas, dropped 25.88 points. Deebo Samuel had a little decent game, 14.70, and Terry McLaurin, the same thing, little decent game, not that much. Leonard Fournette, Lenny, I don't know where he was at against New Orleans, but New Orleans does have a great defense, so I'll give him a little pass on that one. TJ Hawkinson, him and Goff, I don't know what it is this season. After just 2 weeks, they haven't been getting as much chemistry on the field. Goff hasn't been giving him as many targets. I don't know what it is, but hopefully he ramps it the fuck up. We got Hunter Renfrow. He got injured late in the game against Las Vegas. He probably could have had maybe 15 points, a little more catches, maybe even a touchdown. But he came out with 10 points as my flex. So a little decent there. And then for Kevin, Matthew Stafford, he had a better week this week, but still not up to Matthew Stafford's potential. He still had 3 touchdowns and 272 yards, but he threw 2 picks. So in the first 2 weeks, he's thrown at least 4 or 5 picks. Off the top of my head, I can't remember, but I know he's thrown a lot of picks already. Juju shitted the bed, 4 points. Gaki. Jerry Jeudy, he got injured in the beginning of the game, so that's a little pass on him, but he only had 1 reception for 11 yards and 1 rush attempt for 1 rushing yard. So it is what it is. Dalvin Cook really didn't do anything against that Philly defense. That Philly defense is looking scary, and as a Cowboys fan, I hate to say that shit, but it's the truth. Cook only had 4 receptions for 19 yards, and then a few rushing attempts for 17 yards only. Wow. But Nick Chubb shined the hell out for Kevin. He had 3 rushing TDs, 87 rushing yards, and 3 receptions. He came out with 32 points. That's what really put Kevin close to me, because if not, I probably would have won by like 20, you know. But Nick Chubb is going to do Nick Chubb things, and he's going to have a fucking game each and every week. Pittsburgh's tight end, I don't even know how to pronounce this my effort's name, but Furthermouth, I guess. He had a 1 reception TD. I saw that shit live. I was pissed the fuck off, but he got 12 points for Kevin. He did his little thing there. Cordell Patterson, another one that shitted the bed, but I feel like that's Atlanta's fault. They didn't really give him that many rushing attempts. I think he only had 8, and the rookie had 10. So I think they gotta give Cordell Patterson. He carried the Atlanta defense last year. So the Atlanta offense last year. So I don't understand why they're giving him 8 rushing attempts. But dude, come on, only 4 fantasy points after last year having a spectacular year in fantasy. It was just crazy. And our defenses both were shit. Cincinnati and Denver. I don't know what Cincinnati is up to this year, starting off the year, but yeah, pretty trash. I have Michael Carter on the bench. I could have subbed in him for Derrick Henry or Lenny, and he would have got me 1 more point or 2 more points, but not really making a difference there. And for Kevin, he really didn't have anybody to really make him a difference either. So our benches really didn't perform much. Like I said, we both had bad weeks. I just came out on top on this one and got the dub, baby. All right, second matchup is going to Bill Gaden, which is Jose, first in the league right now, 2-0, against George, a.k.a. Losing Hurts. But yes, he changed his name to CMC, a gift from the gods. But George started off 0-2 because he lost to Jose this week. Jose put up 143.8 points. 0.8 points, I'm sorry. And George put up 110.76 points. Jose's team, man, is looking scary. I think, Jose, you have a chance, man. You have a chance to finally get a chip in fantasy football, baby. His team is nasty. He got Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs, and just right there with those two, you already have a chance at winning every single week. Josh Allen with 29.68 points, threw 4 touchdowns, 317 passing yards, and 10 rushing yards. Imagine if he had more rushing yards. Crazy. 3 of those touchdowns went to Stephon Diggs. That boy had 148 reception yards, 12 receptions, obviously 3 TDs. Came out with 44.80 fantasy points. Jesus Christ. This guy's making a statement on trying to be Offensive Player of the Year. Watch out for that. Brandon Cooks didn't really do much, but he had a little decent game, 9 points. DeAndre Swift doing DeAndre Swift thing, 16.70. He had 56 rushing yards, 1 reception TD with 31 reception yards. That's what's up. Ezekiel Elliott, man, that O-line for the Cowboys, I hate to say it, but it is trash. It's going to be tough for Elliott to do anything. And with Tony Pollard back there, that he's a better PPR fantasy player than Elliott. Elliott only put up basically 6 points, 53 rushing yards, which is good with your O-line being that trash, but it's not. Actually, I'm not going to say good. It's decent, but it's not good. So, yeah, it is what it is with that. Gerald Everett did his thing. Justin Herbert got hurt, so maybe he could have had more points. Who knows? But he has 71 reception yards with 6 receptions. That's pretty good for a tight end, for sure. Imagine if he had a touchdown, that would have been 20 points right there. Elijah Moore didn't really do much. 6 points, 41 reception yards, 3 receptions, -6 rushing yards. So I think he tried to get a rushing attempt. They probably sacked him behind. Who knows? But really didn't do much. Jose's kicker got him 12 points. So that helped him out a lot. And helped him out to get the dub for sure. For George, Russell Wilson has been shitting the bed the first 2 weeks. I don't know what's up with him. But 11 fantasy points. He threw 219 yards, 1 pass TD, and an interception. So he messed it up with that interception. It probably would have been 13, 14 points. But really not that good for a quarterback that's been paid hella money to go to an offense that has a bunch of weapons, and he can't do much. Deontay Johnson, decent game, 13 points. He had 57 receiving yards, and he had a 2-point conversion. That's what's up. But Amar St. Brown, golly, this man is shining bright for Detroit. 39.40 fantasy points, 2 reception TDs, 116 reception yards, 9 receptions. This guy is showing out through the first 2 weeks. Hopefully he keeps it up because the dude is a baller, and you can tell that he has a great mindset on trying to win each and every week. McCaffrey doing his thing, 16 points, 102 rushing yards, 4 receptions, 26 reception yards. If he had a TD, that probably would have been 22, 23. So McCaffrey always doing his thing. You already know McCaffrey. Wilson Jr., decent game, 12.30 points, 84 rushing yards. That's what's up. 2 receptions, 19 reception yards. So if he had a touchdown, he probably would have had 18 points, 17 points. Zach Ertz, 15 points, good for a tight end, 75 reception yards. If he had a TD, that would have been 20 plus. But Peoples-Jones, Jesus Christ, George, we had a conversation on this. I don't understand why you started this man, but you did, and he gave you 0 points. That's like Cam Akers my first week. That's what you get for laughing, motherfucker. But yeah, Peoples-Jones was trash. Now let's see the bench players. Let's see if George, look, if he would have put James Robinson in for Peoples-Jones, that would have put him, he still would have been behind. Or Drake London, if you would have substituted him in for Peoples-Jones, yeah, he would have been closer, but he would have still been down like 10 points. So no matter what really George did, unless he would have put in Derek Carr for Russell Wilson. Yeah, if he would have put Derek Carr for Russell Wilson, would have given him 7 extra points. Then he would have put Drake London in for Peoples-Jones. I think he would have been down 2 points, 1 point. It definitely would have been a closer game. But it is what it is. That's how it goes with fantasy. He definitely has potential. His team does have potential. But Jose comes out on top on that one and improves to 2-0 on the season. So next matchup, we got Steve, the reigning champ, and he starts off 0-2. Jesus Christ. Going up against Tricky, aka Dicky, Triquan Bethel. Boy put up 127.12 points to get the win over Steve, who had 119.20 points. So for Steve, Patrick Mahomes really didn't have a great game, but he had a decent game, I guess. 235 passing yards, 2 pass TDs, and -1 rushing yards, 17 points. Decent game. Allen Robinson had a better game than last week. He actually got a touchdown, 53 reception yards, and 4 receptions, 15 fantasy points. So definitely had a better game. Curtis Samuel, 2 weeks in a row, popping off, and Steve got him off the waiver wire. Started him right off the bat. Good job, Steve. Good coaching. 22.90 points, 78 rushing yards. 78 reception yards, 7 receptions, 1 TD. Did his thing. Jonathan Taylor, the back that we all basically wanted for the first pick, and is not doing good through the first 2 weeks. And I don't put the blame all on him. I think the Indianapolis Colts are just not really meshing well right now, and I don't know what it is, but they got to get their stuff together. That boy only had 54 rushing yards, 1 reception, 9 reception yards, 7 fantasy points. Not that good for a number 1 pick. It's been like that for the first 2 weeks. One of the main reasons why Steve probably lost this week and last week. Antonio Gibson, 1 rushing TD, 28 rushing yards, 12 fantasy points, decent game. Mark Andrews did his thing, 25.70 fantasy points. Wow. 104 reception yards, 9 receptions, 1 reception TD. Did his thing against Miami, but we know what happened in that game in the 4th quarter. Crazy. Darnell Mooney shitting the bed, 1 reception for -4 reception yards. Guy couldn't even get upfield. Wow. And he still had 0.60 points. I don't understand how the hell that works, but I guess it's because of the reception, because he caught the pass, but he never went upfield. I don't know, but shitted the bed for sure. And then Steve's kicker, Tyler Bass, did his thing, got 12 fantasy points, decent. San Francisco defense, trash. And then for Trick, Lamar Jackson balled out against Miami, but Baltimore's defense gave it up against Miami. Miami won that game. But Lamar with 42.60 points, 318 pass yards, 3 TDs, and 119 rush yards. Wow, this guy was taking over the game by himself. A.J. Brown, decent game, 69 reception yards, 5 receptions, no TDs. So if he had a TD, maybe 16, 17 points. Marquise Brown, decent game, 12.80 points, 68 reception yards, 6 receptions. Same with him. If he would have had a touchdown, probably around the same latitude, 17, 18 points. Austin Eckler, 18.40 points. Good game. 9 receptions, 55 reception yards, and 39 rushing yards. He's got to get that rushing yards up for sure. But I think that the Chargers don't really be using him like that when it comes to rushing. They should a little more. Try to misdirect the defense, but hey, still had a good game. Josh Jacobs, decent, 9 points, 69 rush yards, 12 receptions. 12 reception yards for 1 reception. If he had a TD, that probably would have been 14 points. So a little decent game. Hunter Henry shitted a bed. 0 points, and he had no stat line. So that man probably didn't even see the field. He was probably out. I don't know, but the guy shitted the bed. Brandon Ayuk, decent game, 63 reception yards, 5 receptions. So just like Marquise Brown and AJ Brown, if he had a touchdown, that would have been up there. It would have gave Tricky that many more points. And then Buffalo's defense, gonna do Buffalo defense things. Decent game for sure. They had 1 TD, so I think it was a pick 6, 2 interceptions, and 2 sacks. Now let's see for Steve if he would have put in someone else, if it would have helped him out. Definitely. If he would have put in Dortch for Darnell Mooney, he would have won this week against Tricky, 100%. It is what it is. You put Darnell Mooney against a tough Green Bay defense like that, Steve, you got fucked. But, for Trick, if you wouldn't really sub anybody in, it wouldn't really give that many more points. So he did good coaching this week on putting the right players in. Steve, you were just one flex away from beating Tricky and getting your first win. But Tricky improves to 2-0. Steve downgrades to 0-2 as reigning fantasy champ. All right, we're almost coming down to the end here, but we got the Cocaine Cowboys with Fabricio, aka the legend, and I don't know what the hell he's the legend of. 0-2, the legend of losing. It might be. He put up 121.56 points against Ernie. I don't want to say it wrong, but Los Aguacitos. I don't know. I probably butchered the fuck out of that, but he put up 133.86 points. Ernie did his thing for Fabi. He got Justin Herbert. He got injured. He probably would have threw another touchdown, so that probably would have put him up to 128 points, maybe around there. So that probably would have helped him out. Justin Jefferson, and he threw a pick 6, so that took away from him as well. So he probably would have had more. He probably would have had 130 points if it wasn't for that pick 6, and if he would have thrown that, if he wouldn't get injured and he would have stayed in the game. Justin Jefferson, decent game, 10 points, 48 reception yards, 6 receptions, no TDs, so that really took him out. But Tyreek Hill carrying the damn load, 42 fantasy points, 2 reception TDs, 190 reception yards. Jesus Christ, for 11 receptions. This guy went off. Gave Miami what it was to win that damn game. James Conner, well, all right. 26 reception yards, 25 rush yards, 2 receptions, no TDs. That's what really, and he's a touchdown back, so that's what really effed him right there. Darrell Henderson, decent game, 1 rush TD, 47 rushing yards. Not really that much, but decent game. Daryl Shorts, he got injured, so he came out of the game, and he got that fumble loss, which I think it was on that hit that he got injured. So 2 receptions, 18 reception yards, bad game. Damian Harris, good game, 16.70 points, 71 rushing yards, 1 rush TD, 2 receptions. Yeah, he had a good game for New England for sure. The kicker put up 13 points. God damn. Okay, I see you. The little decent, but it wasn't enough to beat Ernie. Ernie had Aaron Rodgers, decent game, 234 passing yards, 2 pass TDs, and the fumble loss. The fumble loss is what probably messed up Aaron Rodgers' chance to get 20 points, but whatever. Pretty decent game. Jamar Chase, decent game as well. 54 reception yards, 5 receptions, 4 rush yards. If he would have had touchdown, obviously it would have been more. Mike Evans, he got kicked out of the game, so that's why he only had 9 points. He probably would have had like 2 more receptions, maybe a reception TD, and more reception yards to go with that 61 reception yards. AJ Dillon, all right game, 7 points, 61 rush yards. Last week he had a great game, so he went downhill from here. 61 rush yards, 1 reception, 6 reception yards. Miles Sanders, decent game as well. 80 rush yards, 3 receptions, 6 reception yards. He's actually getting more in the mix. Well, he's been in the mix for Philly since last year, but I think now they're putting more confidence in him and they're going to give him more attempts for sure. And then the tight end for Philly, Dallas Goedert, 82 reception yards, 5 receptions. If you would add a TD, maybe almost 18, 19 points. So he did it. He had a good game. Jalen Waddle, the other receiver for Miami, that went off. 171 reception yards, 2 reception TDs, 11 reception. Had 40 fantasy points. Jesus, that's what put Ernie over the hump to win that game. And also with Tampa Bay's defense. 6 sacks, 3 interceptions, 1 TD. So one was probably a pick six or a fumble, return to the crib, whatever it was. But 18 fantasy points for a defense, and that is great. Let's see if Fabi, if you would have put Amari Cooper in. Not really. It wouldn't really. Yeah, actually, yeah. If you would have put Amari Cooper in for Justin Jefferson, you probably would have won. 100%, you would have won. Yeah. And for Ernie, really not a lot of changes here. Maybe if you would have put Jacoby Myers in for Mike Evans, he would have scored more points for sure. Alvin Kamara was out, so if he probably would have played. He probably would have scored more points than AJ Dillon. Great sit right there. But yeah, Fabi goes to 0-2 and Ernie 2-0 on the season. All right, so this was the wild matchup right here. We got Ticket to the Cup, which is Jawan, had of 159.92 points. Wow, and still lost. That is insane. And then we got Johnny Say Word, the rapper out of Miami. Y'all go check his stuff out, man. Just the two of us, 172.66 points. Wow. For Jawan, Jalen Hurts, Cooper Kupp, Michael Thomas, and Rashad Bateman all went off. Jalen Hurts, 33 fantasy points. Cooper Kupp, 31 fantasy points. Michael Thomas, 18 fantasy points. And even Darren Waller got 17. He just didn't get a touchdown, but he would have had more than 20 points. Wow. Rashad Bateman, 20 points. And then Baltimore's defense had 11. Honestly, I don't know how Miami came back on that game, but it is what it is. Man, Jawan's team could have beat any other team in the damn league, but he had to go up against Johnny, and Johnny had a fucking week to mention. Wow. But real quick, Jalen Hurts, 333 passing yards, 2 rush TDs, 57 rush yards. So imagine if he would have thrown a touchdown as well. He probably would have been up there in the 40 range. Cooper Kupp, 2 reception TDs, 11 receptions, 108 yards. Cooper Kupp doing his thing like always. Damn fantasy champ from last year. He'll probably be the fantasy champ again this year. Michael Thomas did his thing, a reception TD, 65 reception yards, 6 receptions. Michael Thomas is back, baby, and don't let anyone else tell you otherwise. But Jawan's running backs did bad, bro. Did bad. I mean, they had a decent game. It's not like they had terrible, but they didn't get him over the hump, man. That's what it was. Your running backs didn't really do much. Javonte Williams is struggling over there in Denver because of Russell Wilson. He's not really doing his job. 75 rushing yards, 1 reception, 10 reception yards. And then ETN Jr., 33 reception yards, 3 receptions, 20 rush yards. It's going to be tough with James Robinson out there. He's getting more of the carries than anything. I think ETN is good for PPR, but they got to get his targets up and maybe more rushing attempts. Darren Waller, 6 receptions, 1 reception TD, 50 reception yards. Did his thing for show. Rashad Bateman, 108 reception yards, 1 reception TD, 4 receptions. Did his thing as well. But we're going to go over to the other side because Johnny had a week. Wow. You got most of his team with 10 or more points. That is crazy. That's a freaking impeccable week right there. Tua Tagovailoa, 38 fantasy points. He threw 6 touchdowns for 469 yards and 2 interceptions. So if he didn't throw those 2 interceptions, it probably would have been 45 points. Corder Sutton, 19 fantasy points, 102 reception yards, 7 receptions, and 5 rushing yards. Jahan Dotson, 17 fantasy points, 1 reception TD, 59 reception yards, 4 reception. Aaron Jones doing his thing this week because last week he did not do nothing. 32 fantasy points, 132 rushing yards, 1 rush TD, and 1 reception TD. He went off against that Chicago Bears defense, and Aaron Rodgers still owns that team. Joe Mixon, decent game, 11.30 points, 57 rushing yards, 3 receptions, 26 reception yards. He went against a tough Dallas defense, so that's why he didn't really score a touchdown, but he still had a decent game. Tyler Higbee, 14 fantasy points, 71 reception yards, 7 receptions. That's Matthew Stafford's other favorite target compared to Cooper Kupp, so he's going to keep getting targets and keep getting receptions. Christian Kirk, number 1 receiver out there in Jacksonville, 25.80 fantasy points, 2 reception TDs, 78 reception yards, 6 receptions. Did his thing for show. And then Johnny's kicker, he had 13 fantasy points. Now, the downgrade there was Miami's defense because of how Baltimore played in the first 3 quarters. It is what it is. At least Miami got the win. I don't know. Johnny's happy about that. And Johnny got the win as well, even though his defense shit the bed. Let's see if Jawan would have put anybody else in and he would have won. Not really. Not really. Yeah. He did great coaching there, putting in the right pieces. Johnny as well. Johnny had 3 players out. Wow. DeAndre Hopkins, Keenan Allen, Julio Jones. But they both put in the right pieces. It's just Jawan went up against a team that's outscored basically every single team combined in the league. But yeah, it's just bad luck, man. Now Johnny's 2-0. Jawan, back-to-back champions a few years ago, is 1-1. All right, last matchup right here. We got Overbaked Panther, which is the rookie of the league. Gio starts off 0-2. A great start, rookie. Then we got Adonis, aka Crypto Wolf, Chief Crypto Wolf. Y'all check out his TikTok and YouTube if you want some knowledge on crypto and you don't know how to really start or really invest. He got the noise for you. He comes out with 94.20 points and Gio 89.6 points. Both of them had a bad week, just like Kevin and I, but Adonis came out with the victory here. Joe Burrow, only 16 points, decent game, 199 passing yards, 1 pass TD, 26 rush yards. Again, against a tough Dallas defense, he really didn't have a good game, decent game. Devontae Adams, wow. Still put up 9 fantasy points, but he only had 2 receptions. And I think he had 15 targets. It does not say it there, but he had like 15 targets. 1 reception TD. If it wasn't for that TD, he would have shit the bed. He probably would have only had 4 points. Higgins did his thing. 71 rushing reception yards, 6 receptions, 1 reception TD. Almost put up 20 fantasy points. Najee Harris, slow start to the year. I think he's going to ramp it up though 100%. Decent game, 13.90 fantasy points, 5 receptions, 49 rushing yards, and 40 reception yards. If he would have had a TD, he would have been around the 20 range as well. Chase Edmonds, Jesus Christ. Yo, you got to drop him, rookie. You got to drop him. Chase Edmonds is not doing much. They got too many running backs over there, and they got the 2 of top 5 fastest receivers in the NFL, so they're not going to really be using running backs like that. But 33 rush yards, 1 reception, 8 reception yards. Bad game. And then his tight end from Denver, I don't even know how to pronounce his name, but his first name is Albert, shitted the bed, had no targets. I don't even know if he was in the game. 0 fantasy points. Jesus. Denvernay came out against Miami. Literally the first play of the game, kick return to the crib, which was a TD, 42 reception yards, 2 receptions. So he has boom for sure. He'll probably do better coming up weeks. 12 fantasy points. And then the kicker in Los Angeles defense didn't really do much. Combined 13 points. For Adonis, Tom Brady shitted the bed. I mean, still put up 9 points, but still not good for a quarterback. 190 pass yards, 1 pass TD, 1 fumble loss against a tough Saints defense. DJ Moore, decent game, 13.30 points, 1 reception TD, 43 reception yards, 3 receptions. Mike Williams had a freaking game of his life. Not the best, probably not the best game, but he top 10 for sure. 25 fantasy points, 113 reception yards, 8 receptions, 1 reception TD. Did his thing against a divisional opponent, Kansas City Chiefs. Saquon Barkley had a better week in week 1. Week 2 struggled a little bit, but still put up 11 fantasy points, 72 rush yards, 3 receptions, 16 reception yards, no TDs. Edwards Hightower, 15 fantasy points, decent game, actually good game. 15 fantasy points, 74 rush yards, 44 reception yards, and 4 receptions. Patrick Mahomes, like I said, that's a safety net. He's going to get him a lot. And then Travis Kelce, Mahomes' first target, had a decent game, 10 points compared to what Travis Kelce puts up. And as a tight end, he usually puts up like 15 points. So 10 points, whatever, decent game. 51 reception yards, 5 receptions. Rashard Penny, terrible game. Only put up 1 point, 15 rush yards. Wow. Get that man out of there. Put Walker in. Start using him for Seattle's run game because obviously he's not it. Young Hoku, only 5 points. And then Pittsburgh defense, only 2 points. So messed up Adonis for sure. But Adonis still got the win. Let's see if Gio would have put in Devontae Smith for Devontae Adams. Yeah, he would have beat Adonis by like 0.50 points. Sheesh. But if Adonis would have made some moves himself, he would have won by so much more. He would have put in Tony Pollard and for Saquon Barkley, would have given him 8 more points. If he would have put in Tyler Lockett in for DJ Moore, it would have gave him 6 more points. Or Tyler Lockett in for Rashard Penny, that would have gave him 18 more points. So, yeah. No matter what, even if you switch it around or whatever, Adonis still would have won this week. And he improves to 2-0. Been a while, buddy. Been a while, but 2-0, I see you. And then the rookie, you know what it is. Welcome to the Fantasy League, 0-2. All right, so before we get out of here, week 3 matchups. Got myself going up against Ernie, 2-0, so it's going to be a tough week, but I'm projected to win 120-98, but that's because he still has Mike Evans in the lineup, and I'm pretty sure he's going to change that later on. Second matchup, Bill Gating, Jose against Joanne. That's going to be dope matchup to watch, to look out for. 123 points Jose is projected. Joanne is projected 120. Jose is projected to win that one. We got the reigning champ, Steve, going up against Adonis, a.k.a. Crypto Wolf. Y'all go check out his stuff, like I said. Steve is projected to win that one with 124 points. Adonis, 118. Cocaine Cowboys, Fabi, a.k.a. the legend of losing, going up against the rookie, Gio. They're both 0-2, so someone's going to come out with a win on that one and not be defeated anymore. Then we got George, a.k.a. Losing Hurts, a.k.a. CMC, a gift from the gods. Going up against I Have a Chubb, Kev. They're both 0-2, another game that will end with someone being defeated and one being 1-2. By the way, Fabi is projected to win against the rookie, 120. And the rookie is supposed to get 115. George is projected to win against Kev, 117. Kev, 115. And then the last one, which is going to be a dope matchup as well, since both teams are undefeated. You got Tricky, a.k.a. Dicky, going up against Johnny Say Word, rapper out of Miami. Y'all go check out his YouTube and his IG and stuff. Great albums that he got out. Tricky is projected to lose. Johnny with 117 and Tricky with 109. And then show you the standings right quick. We got 5 teams undefeated 2 teams 1-1, including myself, and then 5 teams defeated. Obviously, that's going to change after this week. A lot of those standings are going to change after this week, but as of right now, I would not be in playoffs, and that shit has got to change. I appreciate you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. Leave some comments. If you want to say anything at all, just write in the comment section. Follow me on socials at George Mike Perez on Twitter, and then IG, TikTok, and YouTube, obviously, at GMikeMedia_. And then if you haven't heard about the sports podcast that I got out, go check it out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all podcast platforms under the G Perspective. Next week, we'll have the week 3 results and the week 4 matchups. Hopefully soon on the podcast, I could get some of the fantasy managers to come on, talk shit to each other, do a little interviews here and there. But yeah, for the Los Bandoleros, we are out.